Welcome to The Debate. We are heading to Huntington, West Virginia today for a collision that is, frankly, fascinating. We've got the number 9 Marshall Thundering Herd hosting the number 4 Oregon Ducks.
And the stakes couldn't be higher. I mean, it's a top 10 matchup, huge playoff implications.
Exactly, but if you look past the hype, this is really a philosophical stress test. We're asking a fundamental question. When you have a team with absolute athletic metric dominance like Oregon, does that just override high-efficiency, error-free execution?
It's the age-old fight, right? Raw capability versus refined application. You look at Oregon's roster and see a ceiling that Marshall physically just can't touch. I look at Marshall's output, and I see a floor that Oregon's, well, their volatility might crash right through.
And I have to side with the raw talent here. I'm looking at the roster data, and when the gap is this wide, specifically with speed and acceleration, scheme starts to matter a whole lot less. You can't scheme your way out of a foot race. You're just destined to lose.
See, and I completely disagree. I think efficiency, ball security, and tactical discipline, that's the actual currency of winning football games, especially when the pressure is on.
Well, let's look at why I'm so bullish on Oregon. They aren't just a good offense, they are a juggernaut. They're led by this 5-star true freshman quarterback, Dre Gardner, who looks incredible. But the real issue for Marshall is senior halfback Sam Onatolu. The scouting reports are literally calling him a demon with the ball, and the metrics back it up. 97 speed, 99 acceleration. When you have that kind of acceleration, you just destroy defensive geometry. A linebacker takes a standard pursuit angle, but because Onatolu is a statistical outlier, that angle becomes a miss. It forces the defense to play passive, and that opens up the entire playbook.
I see why you're fixated on the physical outliers, I do. But let me give you a different perspective. Efficiency dictates outcomes, not 40-yard dash times. Marshall's answer is junior quarterback Stan Bryant. The guy is completing 82% of his passes with 0 interceptions. 0. That is the antidote to flash. And while Oregon relies on individual stars to break plays, Marshall is using a running back by committee approach. They used 5 different backs in week 1. This isn't about one superstar, it's about a strategic endurance advantage. It's just body blows that keep the defense on its heels.
Endurance is great in theory, but let's be real about the matchup here. It's the demon with the ball versus this idea of schemed containment. Onatolu has a 92 break tackle rating and 8 touchdowns in 2 games. You are asking Marshall's middle linebacker, Greg Van Maten, to stop a force of nature. Statistically, relying on a linebacker to solo tackle a back with those kinds of evasion metrics is a losing proposition. If Van Maten misses just once, it's 6 points.
Okay, but I'm not convinced by that line of reasoning because it ignores unit cohesion. Yes, Onatolu is powerful, but Marshall's defense is incredibly disciplined, led by their strong safety Trevante Shaw, who just cleans up everything. Plus, that defensive success is tied directly to the committee offense I mentioned. By rotating backs and controlling the clock, Marshall keeps their defense rested. That matters. A tired defender gets lazy with his steps. If he's 6 inches out of his gap, a back like Onatolu is gone. Marshall wins this by making sure Van Manen and Shaw have fresh legs in the 4th quarter so that gap integrity holds up.
But the speed advantage isn't just a problem for the linebackers. When you look out wide, the math gets even worse for Marshall. The Oregon secondary features 3 separate players with 99 speed and 99 acceleration ratings. That is terrifying. It essentially renders the deep ball mathematically futile. You cannot throw over the top of a secondary that is faster than your entire receiver core. The field just shrinks because the deep threat doesn't really exist.
I just come out from a different way. You're equating speed with coverage success, and they're not the same thing. Marshall has Zach Bibbs, who is a contested catch specialist with 6 receptions and 3 touchdowns already. You don't beat Oregon's secondary in a foot race. You beat them at the catch point with physicality. Bryant doesn't need to throw it over them, he needs to throw it to them, where Bibbs can box them out like a rebounder in basketball. And while the defense worries about that, Tyler Darby is there to occupy those deep safeties. It's about leverage, not sprinting.
Leverage is useful, sure, but let's talk about who is pulling the trigger. Dre Gardner has integrated seamlessly into this system. He's finding his tight end, Carter Vaughn, very effectively. The talent is translating immediately, regardless of his age.
That's a compelling argument, but have you considered the environment? Gardner is a true freshman. Marshall is a hostile environment. It's loud, it's chaotic, communication breaks down. Volatility is the enemy here. When you can't hear the audible or the crowd is shaking the stadium, that freshman confidence can evaporate pretty quickly. Stan Bryant is a junior with proven decision-making. In a game with razor-thin margins, I trust the veteran who doesn't turn the ball over more than the talented kid making his first massive road start.
So we've covered a lot of ground. To summarize my view, Marshall is disciplined, sure, but the talent gap, specifically those outlier speed metrics in the Oregon backfield and secondary, it creates problems that discipline alone cannot solve.
And I'll maintain that efficiency and 0 turnovers are the winning metrics at home. If Marshall controls the pace of this game and forces that freshman quarterback to make complex decisions under pressure, the raw speed won't save him.
The prediction on the table is Oregon 35, Marshall 31. That suggests the margin between raw talent and disciplined execution is about as thin as it gets.
Indeed. It promises to be an instant classic.
That does it for us. Thanks for listening to The Debate.